Hey everybody, welcome to our live stream on the exciting world of AI art and music. My name is Corey, the sound synthesizer, and I'm thrilled to be here with Jay, the pixel pusher. Together we'll be sharing our expertise and demos on how we use artificial intelligence to create stunning artwork and pleasing music that will blow your mind. Just think of Jay as the Eevee of the AI art world, able to evolve into different forms of art with ease. Think of me as the Meloetta of the AI music world, able to switch between different music forms effortlessly, but not pronounce Pokemon names. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and get ready for a wild ride as we take you on a journey through the world of AI art and music.
Yay, you were clipping the whole time.
Yes, and remember, if it's not on the internet, it does not exist.
Nice. That was a beautiful intro.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Corey.
Yeah, so once again, we have a, this wonderful intro was written by ChatGPT, the advanced AI. If ChatGPT were a Pokemon, it would be Mew as well, the genetic Pokemon known for its ability to learn any attack and adapt to any situation.
It's got the copy ability like a Ditto does.
Yeah, really, right?
Yep.
Great. Welcome back, everyone, to our obnoxiously loud and artificially driven live stream.
It's okay. The one thing I do not like about these roads is that in order to lower it, I have to go all the way up and then back. Then it goes
you
back
cycle
down.
through.
Yeah. So it's hard to do it like in the middle of someone talking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there's just not enough like channel movement on the faders right now for you. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you're clipping that, then.
Oh, I was clipping the transfer.
Because it comes into the receiver.
Got it.
So sometimes if I leave it down all the way, it's like I have to really crank up this. So there's like trying to find a happy medium between.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's a whole thing, y'all. Audio signal chain. Spent a lot of time this week with students scratching our heads about where audio was going when there's no cables showing you. Analog audio is so simple when there's a cable connecting things, but especially digital audio when things are being converted to analog and back and forth, and there's all sorts of points of failure where the gain staging can go awry. Yeah. So that's a little bit of what happened just now. I got a little oranger too.
I was messing with the.
We've been here today nerding out with more AI tools like last week. I was really interested and inspired by that last stream. I thought it was so cool that I wanted to sort of poke around and see what sort of other things I could find that were useful or interesting. And we were hoping to sort of like show some visual stuff, but I think it's going to be mostly audio things right now. And I wanted to kind of like show you some thoughts I had about ways to like sort of like last time work with the AI to like help you create some interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. Let's see if it's I never got it to start training my model in the collab, unfortunately. But I tried out a few different tools, and I thought I'd just like share for you some interesting results. Are you getting my screen, Jay?
I think I'm not.
Really?
Let me see here for PC. Get that scanning further going.
It's on.
Let's see, it'll probably pop up here in a second. Corey's MacBook Pro.
Yay!
Let's see.
Anything?
No,
Weird.
not yet.
Should I quit it and relaunch it?
Possibly.
Okay, here we go. Boom. Booyah. Okay. So in the meantime.
There it is.
Yeah, sweet. So I'll tell you. So I was poking around at some different sites and I found some interesting sites to point you at in terms of generating some content. So as we noticed, if you watched the stream last week, we played around with generating some visual and audio assets. And something I was noticing is that a lot of the tools that we are able to play with ourselves seem like they're working with MIDI data, right, as opposed to audio. So like when AI is generating like images, which is what most people have been doing when they've been playing with it, right? Like getting it to like some sort of a prompt to text generator, right? You type in a prompt and it like just spits out an image based on images it's seen. Because image data sets are really easy to grab off the internet. Audio data sets, you can't just like hoover up in the same way. You kind of have to like play them back and interpret them and to analyze them. So it's kind of like video, it's more complex analysis. And so there's less data sets available for that, but there's tons of data sets available for MIDI files, for like drum loops, like basically like sheet music essentially for all sorts of things. So sheet music is just essentially numbers, that you can quantify, and you make great data out of it. So a lot of the tools that you have that you can like generate music with are just like MIDI generators, and that's cool. We spend a lot of time doing MIDI music. I'll try and see if I can get any results from some MIDI tools in Ableton in a minute. But in like terms of like actually AI generating, what I'm really interested in is getting the AI to generate audio for me, like from scratch. Like I can come up with a MIDI pattern that sounds kind of like in a generic style all day long. What I'm interested in is sounds, especially sounds that live in like a kind of uncanny valley sort of area, or just like sort of weird things that like might all spectral and weird sounding. So I'll show you a couple of music generation tools. One where I'll be able to actually generate it for you in real time. It does something interesting, and then another one that gives, I think, more interesting results. So this thing I have pulled up is a site called boomy.com. And this is basically lets you create music from scratch. So I'm going to create, let's just like generate a track. So I'm going to create an electronic dance track. So here in this particular tool, you have some subsets of genres to choose from. So we can choose like warehouse groove, hyperdrive, or vapor. Let's try hyperdrive just for fun. I tried warehouse groove earlier. You can preview and see if you like the sort of thing it's going to give you. Here's warehouse groove. Here's hyperdrive. Big subs in there. And here's the vapor, the chill wave one. So you can kind of hear like these sound sets sound a little generic to me, but let's try that vapor one. I think it might get something more interesting and melodic than just some like boring, harsh house music. So I jump in the queue and it starts generating. So this could take some time. I don't know how long this is going to take. This is one of the fun things about this being an offline process. But it's going through and like working on some sort of model based on these settings.
It's got some cool little visuals with it.
It's got a cute visualizer, which is nice, and so it's it's getting itself organized. This thing didn't take too terribly long when I used it earlier, so I'm probably not inclined to navigate away from it immediately. But what I liked about this one, unlike some others, is that like you get some options once you've created it, and you can sort of like, oh great. Something atonal and weird is going on. Do you hear how bad that sounds? Like that's not good. So let's see if I can save you some bandwidth on this thing and maybe. So anyways, I don't like that. So I'm going to click reject, and it's going to generate a new one with the same prompt. That's fun. So I like that. That's interesting. So the cool thing about this is we can get some options of editing. So I kind of like this one. It's kind of nice. But you can edit things about it. So we can edit, say, the production. You can replace the sounds and instruments of the song while keeping the same composition. So we can say we want to like mix it like, let's mix it like an aquarium. I don't know what that means. And we're going to put in some trap 808 drums, and we're going to replace these instruments with synth haven and see what happens. So it's going to regenerate the composition. So in theory, it's going to keep the same notes, right? This tells you that it's working with MIDI or something like it, where I can keep the composition, but change the instruments, just like in Ableton. Ooh. Where I'm using my, if I'm writing in MIDI, I can just swap out the instrument and keep the same part. So it might take a second to re-render the audio here.
Is this the one that has a limited amount of generations?
I'm not sure about this one actually. I didn't export much from this one earlier.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't actually seen what the limitations are here. I just think it's kind of like interesting to play with, like seeing just what it spits out, like hearing. This one I thought was cool because it does like vocal chopping, which I want to show off as soon as this thing is done rendering a new thing. Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Are these ones free to download? Like, can you just use these or?
I think so. That's fun. I like it. So let's add some vocals to it. I thought this option was really interesting. So this thing is going to, it lets you record a audio file or upload one. Yeah, what should I say?
Auto vocal to magic. So is it just like spoken audio? Like does it prefer for you to just like?
I assume that it would like prefer a,
what's it say? Or you know how to sing or rap, choose.
So you can actually just straight up record audio in over this.
Oh, okay.
But auto vocals is like, it'll take a recording. Here, let's have a ChatGPT write us some lyrics. Write me 4 verses about, what should it be about? Oh, burrito time.
Burrito time.
Which is the last comment in the chat. Or write me 4 lines of lyrics about burrito time. Actually, is what I want. It's burrito time. The clock is ticking. The tortilla's warm. The beans are kicking. Wrapped up tight with all the fixins. I take a bite. It's pure deliciousness winning. Okay. Just one verse, please.
Just one verse. Gosh, I can fix this connection.
I don't care for this rhyme at all. I'm just going to regenerate that. No, I don't like. I'm not going to read that where those words rhyme. Yeah. Okay. We'll go with the first 2 lines of this because I think those are pretty all right. It's burrito time. The clock is ticking. The tortilla's warm. The beans are kicking. It cleared me when I refreshed the window. That's the worst. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to read it and we'll see what it does. 3, 2, 1. Oh, you are allowed to use my microphone. It's burrito time. The clock is ticking. The tortilla's warm. The beans, they're kicking.
Sounds like a Taco Bell ad.
Right? So you can sort of like, you can choose an emphasized section. The clock is ticking. The tortilla's warm. The beans, they're kicking. The clock is ticking. The clock. Cut off burrito time from that. Ticking. Whatever. I'm just gonna click continue. I don't care. So it's gonna think about this, and it's gonna generate vocal chops. It's gonna try and turn this into as much of a song as it can, based on the structure, and then it's gonna tune it and make it melodic too, which is pretty fun. So I was very amused. I had it singing lyrics about my Crocs earlier. So we'll see. We'll get it to do a burrito song for you now. So like, there's some limited usefulness to this, right? Like this sort of thing, like it's gonna spit out some sort of like cranky, weird track, right? And so I feel like as a musician, it seems useful to use this to generate fragments of stuff. Let's hear what it did. So I don't like that. I'm gonna reject that, and I'll try a new one. Anyways, so you can like I thought this thing was like really fun and weird to play with. Like this output of this thing is gonna be like it's gonna be hard to work with, right? And and I'm not sure what this particular tool allows you to do in terms of grabbing this audio off. As you saw me do in the previous stream, I think you can just record the audio out from your browser to somewhere else using a virtual audio routing. And that's maybe that's a way to get around like any limitation of downloading or anything around these things. Obviously, there's a copyright issue with some of that stuff, but if you're transformed enough, no one will ever know. So let's just see like what happens. I'll hit save. We're gonna name the song Tortilla, or Ia's Warm, right? By me. Only me can see this. I'm gonna save the changes. So now, this is in my library. Can I do anything with it? Download. Cool. Oh, neat. So download options, I can get the MP3. I can get an uncompressed wave. I can get the MIDI data, and I can also get the stems. But I think, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, there seems to be, oh yeah. Anyway, so they're gonna like gatekeep that behind some sort of pro membership. But we can probably get away with just, oops. We can probably get away with downloading the MP3 file. Continue. Say none of the above apply to me. Oh wait. No. Oh yeah. So they're okay. This is one of the limitations of these services, and I think we're running into it here too. Is that these folks want to retain the rights to these things that are generated by their tools. So this is the sort of thing where like you have to get kind of creative about applying these to your own work, right? Like other copyrighted samples, it is illegal to use them and distribute them if you aren't sufficiently transformative with them. And technically, probably illegal anyways, although you can get away, like for this educational live stream, this is definitely would fall under fair use, and we would legally have the right to use this, but it doesn't seem to want to let me actually do that. Which is kind of a drag. So if I really cared about this or wanted to use it, I would do what I did in the previous stream and just route the audio out of here and record it. So I found a different site that lets you do some more interesting stuff with it though. This thing is called Mubert, which really upsets me as a name. And this was super interesting. I blew through all of the free tracks that I could generate in a month today. They give you 25 free tracks, but they didn't tell me that before I started generating them until I hit the limit. And this was a really fascinating tool to me. I'll just show you some of the things that I grabbed. So this thing lets you generate a loop, a track, a short track, or what it's called a mix, like something designed to mix in like a DJ mix, based on a text prompt. It'll do things in genres, it'll do things in prompts. It will search for a YouTube video, like you can give it a YouTube video and it will search through other generated songs that it's generated to find similar ones. Oh. So the idea of this tool is like, it's supposed to help you find music for your video productions, for your stream, for your podcast, whatever. And it's supposed to, you can generate music that is there's no copyright on it beyond what these folks assign, and they're totally fine with you using it on their streams. The deal with this one is you can download stuff and use it, and whatever it's unwatermarked, you are supposed to credit them with the composition if you use the composition. But I just thought this thing was pretty cool. So I fed it some specific genres and got some really bizarrely great results. Here is what a completely randomly generated two-step garage track, for example. Like, this is cool. Like, this sounds like music I listen to, Maybe like a little like uninspired compared to some of the stuff I like, but But it has the formal features. It has the right kind of groove. It's the right tempo. It has the right instrumentation. It has the like pitched up vocals. Like, it did the thing. It'll even differentiate between two-step and just like straight ahead garage. Although this one's a two-step groove as well. Does it do like a four on the floor garage? Well, it doesn't seem to know the difference between two-step and not, but but these are all like in the ballpark, you know? And like that's a vibe with like the way those synths interact with each other. So I'm pretty confident that this thing is doing some kind of like actual spectral processing, sort of like that stuff that I showed you last time with that really kind of like haunted sounding, uncanny audio. Because this sounds like I'm hearing like, it's either that or this thing has like a huge library of presets that are like robust and deeply customizable per track. Because these things sound a little more like you just hear like the difference between that and like this other thing, you know. Like to me, when I'm listening to this, I hear, whoa, oh, it just crashed when I tried to pause it. To me, when I'm listening to that, like I hear, it sounds like a MIDI composition, where like I hear different parts, and like the parts all feel very compartmentalized, like MIDI presets do.
Right.
Whereas the stuff that I was getting out of this thing was great. So I want to play you this one. It is terrible at doing just straight text to music, though. Its prompts, like when you just have it generate stuff in a genre, it's pretty good so far I've checked out, but like, check this out. I thought this was a spectacularly good piece of music, but it is, so the prompt is sad chiptune super fast. It is neither sad, a chiptune, nor super fast, but it is a superb 20-second piece of music.
Muba.
The watermark.
That's the watermark, folks. When you download these files, they don't have that, which is great. So like that's, I just can't believe, like, that's like a real vibe. It sounds like Burial. Like if you've ever listened to Burial, that sounds like a Burial type track. If you played me that and told me this was someone who listened to a lot of Burial and wanted to make that, that's great. So I was like, cool, it knows how to make Burial stuff. I tried to get it to generate a Burial style minimal garage beat and got this.
Oh, I didn't hear this one earlier.
Well, there's a reason, because it's terrible. I mean, well, it's just whatever.
It's just whatever.
Muba.
This sounds like a, I don't know, a song.
Yeah, it sounds like, you know, like kind of like a tech house track or something, you know. Definitely not what I asked it for.
Oh,
and
okay.
and very pretty much never got what I asked it for. This one I want to play you. This one is also great. This was a low. This one is maybe a little closer. I was trying to I was getting some stuff that reminded me of hold music, like a telephone hold music. So I asked it for a low bitrate MP3 piano loop with chipmunk vocals. I didn't get that, but I got this.
Muba.
I was Watermarks fan. But anyway, so I think this is really interesting. So also, I should note, these are copyrighted compositions that I'm playing on the stream. But one of the things that these folks do is they ask you what your like streaming media channels are to clear you to use their copyrighted compositions. So I've told them that we stream at youtube.com/MARZ project. And so it knows that these songs should be licensed to be used for our stream, which is kind of cool. So for any of you out there who like do streaming and need like some royalty-free music, this is a really awesome source. You can like, not only can you generate this stuff, but you could like get it to iterate on some of these things too, although it doesn't do a great job of that either. But you can just like explore things by genre or tempo or whatever, like just out of curiosity. I saw like, it does have a whole a new jack swing subgenre. Like, gosh, it's all over the place. It has a happy hardcore category. But has nobody generated any yet? There's no music here. That's hilarious. It has it as a genre, but it hasn't made any. You can really tell that this thing is like trained on a whole grip of corporate music. Like, so I think it would be a killer source for like vaporwave composition. You know, if you wanted to like sample something that sounded like corporate music, but it wasn't actually from any particular ad or anything like that, this would be an awesome source for that. Just like hyper generic, cheery ad music, you know? Because there's a ton of like material like that out there that's royalty free for it to crawl and hoover up. Let's see, Kawaii Party. Here's the emo gathering. I don't know what makes this kawaii. I don't know what makes that emo. But it's cool. Like, it's just like, it's fascinating to me. These things are only like, there's like, some of these tracks are like 7 minutes long, you know? Like, you could like have. There's the K-pop chord progression. I don't know, it's all over the place in here. But it's like a surprising breadth of material, this thing turns out. That's some weird spectral processing. You hear those like crazy overtones in there?
MooBirds.
Okay.
Takes you out of the zone.
That's how they get you to sign up for the thing. So there's some various pricing levels for this thing. If you want to try it out for yourself, obviously you can generate 25 free things a month, and I think you can download more. So let's prove that to ourselves. I want to see what is the fastest music in here. Some drum and bass at 185 beats per minute. Let's see, highly respected lawyer. Doesn't sound like 185 beats per minute to me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
MooBirds.
Wow, all the 185 tracks are drum and bass. All the 180 tracks are folk songs. This is super interesting. 174, we get some neurofunk and drum and bass again. Whoa.
MooBirds.
Whoa, that got really weird for a second there. That was fun. Hate that watermark, but. So if I click download, I can download it, and it's available.
Right.
Yeah, so the limit is only on custom generating, which is kind of cool. So like if you're totally, you
can use any of those.
Yeah, but like it's the sort of thing where you might like play around, find something you like, and then like every month or so refresh your intro for your stream or something like that. Like generate a few tracks and then find one that's cool. So I thought it'd be fun to like download a couple of these things, which I've gone and done already. And oh hey, does this thing actually want to train my model? No, it doesn't. I've been trying to get this Ableton tool to work, which I guess I can show you. So yeah, let's just crack Ableton open and see. I'll show you a couple of these things. So among the other AI tools that we have some like DAW-based things, which are kind of fun. The folks at Google, who's that thing that I just had open, have a couple of things, a synthesizer and an effect that both run neural models. And so let's check out the synth, which I think is really fascinating. So this is the interface called the DDSP synth. And it's very feature limited. You have the controls you have are the pitch, the number of harmonics, the amount of noise, and the volume. And then you can drag this window around, but it's not really super clear to me what this does. Because it's really weird and experimental. So you can see we have volume and pitch here in a graph. There's a very simple reverb effect and an ADSR envelope for the sound. And I'll show you. So this is the flute model. Oh, it's kind of fun.
Oh, this is the one you were doing last time.
Isn't that trippy? So it's I'm feeding it MIDI notes and it's spitting out something based on a neural model of what flutes sound like. So the farther away I get from the normal range of a flute, the wackier this gets. But if you're hanging out around the normal range, sounds fluty.
Yeah.
What I like about it is that it's generative, and so like I'm not getting the same result every time I press the key. I can press the same key over and over again. It's similar but different every time. So it's like a real flautist playing the flute. And the quality varies a lot, which it feels very human, which is funny because it's very much not. So there's these various models to varying degrees of accuracy. So like, I don't hear the violin sounding terribly different from the flute. So yeah, the more interesting ones, I found the sitar to be really fascinating. Especially in the lower octaves.
Huh.
Pretty strange sounding. So one thing that's cool about this, oh yeah, there's a vowel setting too, which is fun. Like sort of like a human voice, but not quite. And I love this uncanny kind of stuff, right? It's like not quite right. But it's like, it's fun. It makes it really interesting sounding. So one thing you can do, you see this train new model button. That brings you to that collab window I had open earlier, where if you follow this thing's instructions and read it really carefully and click and pray that it works, which it's only worked once for me and didn't work very well. It's actually only executed properly once, and I'll show you the results. It's very wacky. So what it lets you do is it lets you upload your own audio samples, and it will train the neural model on whatever you feed it, and then you can load your model locally and play it back in here. So like, in theory, like, you know, I could go grab one of my guitars and like play a bunch of notes on it into a mic, and then like load those single notes into a file and train the model on that and get something back. I made an attempt to do this. I was trying all afternoon to get it to work on some synth samples I had, because I tried to do it on some snare samples I had, and it didn't work very well. You know, I mean, y'all know me, still same old G. I just, you know, the first thing I did was I loaded up the Sophie snares and just fed it all these things. Ah, that's the best one. That's the one everybody uses. Hear that in songs all the time now. So it didn't do a very good job with these. I'll load that model now. So I have a model here called Sophie Snares. And I really think that this thing is designed to work on sustained sounds. Because what I get is pretty much just white noise. So this was a huge disappointment, except I figured out that if you play a sufficiently low note, it'll start feeding back.
Whoa. Huh.
So that was kind of interesting. So like, here's a collaboration with the AI that has gotten me a result that I did not intend to get, right? So let's, is that the oil in your heater that I hear, Jay?
Oh, you hearing that? Yeah.
That's loud.
I don't know why this heater does it all the time. The other one I had
That thing's super noisy. It's funny.
didn't do that. Yeah, sorry if it sounds like we're having a frying some food in here or something.
All right, so I gotta get it set up right. I gotta do that. And then I'm going to hit record. Cool. So there's an AI generated sound. I really like the sound of that oil popping. It's like a really pleasant, it's very pleasant.
I even turned down my mic in here. That way you can hear it through the door. Are you hearing
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Get it close
Cool.
up
Yeah.
here.
Anyways, I like generate, just like even like feedback like that makes a great instrument. Like Ableton's so cool like this, you just like flop it into the sampler and like away we go, you know? Like now we got like, that's a great sound. Thanks, thing, for screwing up so bad. So let's get this thing looping so I can like. Love that. So it's looping, but it's not looping in a synced way. So every note is gonna, higher notes loop faster and lower notes loop slower. So you get this kind of fun effect of like. Kind of creates an internal rhythm. I like that kind of sound. You get this kind of like, it becomes very random, right? But you know, I love randomness in music. That was really random. Let's use that. So that's like something like some chords, right? I didn't really like that last one, but use that. Oops. Trying to turn this into something that feels a little musical. Oh yeah. Let's quantize this all to quarter notes, start and ending, go. And we'll slide this over to here, I think. And then we should end up with something that feels kind of. It's kind of fun. Fold this away because I need to do something with this MIDI note. This MIDI note is giving me some grief. Gotta duplicate that. So these are all weirdly 1/3 of a bar. Also, I don't like that either. Or like they're three, or what is it? They're 3 bars. Somehow got all these as 3-bar loops instead of two or 4. I don't understand why. We'll just simplify it to these first 2 chords, and we'll do this. That's kind of a fun sound. So this is a randomly generated idea. So I brought some of those like other things that I downloaded over to the computer moments ago. So like let's split one of these into some stems. I really wanted the like. I like that. I like this thing's percussion. So I'm gonna put it in the stem splitter. Takes a moment, but not that long. And then we're going to pull that percussion loop out of this track. And we're going to drop it into Ableton. So we can save, I guess we can save drums. And then we'll save, let's grab the bass too. And whatever, we'll grab the music as well, whatever that is. So here's our drums. Here we come into Ableton. Boom. Garage drums. So obviously, this is much faster than the tempo this thing was composed at. I don't know why it thought that two-step garage should be at 171 beats per minute. Oh, it's because it's terribly warped, that's why. It's too two-steppy. That feels more reasonable. Warp from here. There we go. 128, that makes much more sense. Like, this is a great perk loop. It's like a cool shaker hi-hat loop. It's got some. I'm like, man, I could just use that as a loop, and that's tight. So like, again, like I'm getting pretty far away from the original composition at this point already, and that's nice. You know, like in terms of sampling, it's like I'm really just like grabbing. Let's clip gain this up. It's working great. So let's see if we can pull anything else useful out of that track's information. Oops, didn't mean to do that though. So this loop doesn't like loop super great. So maybe we do that like a few times and then it plays this and then it goes into this section. Something got really weird there, huh? Anyways, so we probably, you know, like pulling these things out as briefer loops generally is a little more successful. So we'll like loop this 16 bar section for a minute, and let's try and pull up like that bass sound. So I had basses, I think it's here. Yeah. So this bass was doing something interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. Did it do a good job of warping this? No, it did a terrible job of warping this. So that's going to be interesting. I'm just going to like manually move this until it's pretty close. And that's going to be my brute force method. This probably wants to be somewhere like that. So I don't know if this is going to be useful for what we're doing, but we can crank up the gain and see. We try and make that fit with our thing. So definitely not the right key. It's just maybe a little sharp. I'll try pushing up an octave. Versus. So we need to bring it down a little bit, I think. Oops. Wrong keystroke. So we can bring that thing down a bit. There it is. Cool. So one of the fun things about this is like, I've grabbed all these things and I have like these like mix and matchable assets now. Like, let's get into that thing real quick. So I'm gonna drop that guy in. This is a totally different tempo, totally different composition, but who cares, right? That's the cool thing about Ableton. Cool thing about digital music production in general. Just smush it all together until it works,
Yeah.
It's fun and it's functional. So I really wanted, in particular, the drums from this, and I'll take the music as well, just in case, and we'll open this drums up and flop this in here too. So, and that looks like it worked pretty good. No, never mind. I take it back. Wow, it's really doing a terrible job of warping these things. What's up with that? Oh, what went wrong? There's something really weird went wrong in there. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, this, yeah, okay. This thing's not very smart about, remember it's like spinning out some weird loop lengths. That was actually a 12 bar, or 11 bars and some change long loop. So let's like shorten it to 8, and this will just be functional. Cool. So like, we often sit around and make tunes out of loops in here. And that's something that like most of my students, when they're starting to make music in a computer, we just take loops and mix and match them, just like I did just now. With like add a little chord or melody thing, add a bass line, add some percussion, add some kicks and snares, and like we're off to the races. But a lot of times those loops are like, you'll get a little higher quality, right? If someone's designing a loop from scratch and giving you a high quality, full quality version of the loop, it'll always sound good and sound better. But like, if you don't update your loop collection regularly, then you end up working with a lot of the same loops. And I've just, partially it's me as a teacher, but like, because I'm presenting people with the same, it's like tens of thousands of loops, but people end up digging up the same ones over and over again. And so I've heard a lot of the same ones a bunch. And also, you can be sure that if you've gotten a free loop from a free sample pack somewhere, that somebody else has it too. And they've made a song with it already. And they've uploaded it to YouTube already. And YouTube knows. Now YouTube thinks that they own that loop and will take your song down if you use it prominently, right? Like, because it sounds like their song. They were the first, whatever. So it's a huge issue where you can totally have the rights to use the thing, but it won't work for your use case for one reason or another. So the cool thing about this is that these are loops that are from songs that I generated from a prompt. These songs did not exist before I asked them to be made, and nobody has pulled these stems out of those loops and made a song with them. So for sure, this is content that does not exist elsewhere. But I did not come up with it myself. So I see this as being a really huge avenue for this kind of thing. Like the spectrum of generating an individual sound to a loop, to patterns, to an entire song, depending on what you need and how involved you want to get with the process, like you can end up with something that's functional for whatever you need at the end. I'm feeling super, like these are loops that I would love to work with loops that have this much character all the time. Like this kick and snare loop is interesting. Or it's got hi-hats in it too, I guess. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. And like, you know, like I could make that, but wouldn't have that. That's not what I would do if I was sitting down to do it, probably. Although, like, maybe I should because I like it. But it's also like to get all those little tiny little sounds. Like, there's a ton of variety in this loop, you know. And to like program that much variety yourself, like it's like laborious. And if ultimately you're just trying to like hear something kind of funky, or you don't have like a specific vision, like this is like excellent writing prompt. Like I'm inspired to make a song out of this. Right, it's kind of fun. I bet we could make it more interesting with like another chord progression here or something like that. But I digress because we are getting close to the end of our stream, and I don't want to be stuck on this stream trying to make stuff for nobody. Let's see. But I am going to just real quick duplicate this.
Really got to figure out something better we may have to go back to using the HDMI output because.
Oh yeah, it's like losing me pretty bad, huh?
Yeah. It's a bummer because my only bandwidth options are highest or lowest. There's no in between. And the lowest is really bad that I can't even read anything that you're doing. Makes it pretty much unusable. That's not even working now.
Yeah, we'll try it next time. I don't understand why it's so bad.
Who knows? It's probably just because it's the uncompressed.
Anyways. More technical problems to solve on the stream.
Yeah.
Yep, always an ongoing process. But yeah, cool. I guess I'll stop talking so much, and we'll sort of let this thing be. But yeah, I'm pretty sold on this as a tool for digging for ideas. I would be hesitant to like produce like the melody of my track with something like this, you know, or like any aspect of it that's going to be really prominent. Because again, like these have some sort of copyright around them, and I am probably violating that by making a song out of it. Because we are doing this for educational purposes, it's fair use. But if I were to make this commercial and try to do this in a for-profit way, like as an artist, I would be running afoul of their licensing agreement and would need to either play by the book or be smart and be transformative with it, right? Like if I'm just presenting their work as is, there's no defense there. But if I'm meaningfully transforming it, then there's a chance that I could persuade a judge or jury that that was fair use, and B, avoid automatic takedowns, which are the two pitfall. Really, the automatic takedown is the pitfall that you fall into. Most of the time, unless you're sampling a major label pop song, you're probably not going to get a company coming after you.
Right.
But
and if you're a major or like, you know, I feel like you got to have a certain.
Or your song has to blow up.
Yeah, you get like somebody really has to see it and be like, oh, they're making a bunch of money off this song.
Like Old Town Road.
Yeah,
is a good example.
Exactly.
Like Trent Reznor has a writing credit on that song from Nine Inch Nails because a free loop that he put out from one of his songs was sampled in that song. The main meat of that is a sample from a Nine Inch Nails song. Yeah, it's a Nine Inch Nails type beat basically.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the banjo sounding part of that song is from Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
But anyway, so like you never know what's gonna happen, and so like and you may want to make a song and have it blow up and not give your money to Trent Reznor. And so like this is like sampling someone that doesn't exist is a way better move. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
That's all I want to say about this subject. Thanks for bearing with me as we nerded out in here again on these tools.
Maybe I'll try to find some more 3D ones that we can talk about.
I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah, find something.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah, some sort of rig generator.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Right, or something like that. Anyways,
cool.
We're out.
Everybody. We'll see y'all later.
Toodaloo.
I gotta switch. There we go. Bye.